Vivian, Executive Producer of InsurTech Connect Asia, and today I'm joined with Marshall from Marsh. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
It's
you.
great to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time out to be here with me.
Thank you for having me here.
I'll jump right into the questions.
Absolutely.
How do you view the current state of climate and sustainability strategies in Asia? What are the major challenges and opportunities you see?
Actually, we're just getting started with the climate sustainability. I think climate change is already here. I would say a couple of years ago, people are still debating, when is climate change coming? But in Asia, particularly around the ASEAN region, people know that climate change is here. So right now, I think, besides jumping into the net zero game, how do we prevent and mitigate climate change? A lot of our companies are actually saying, how do I actually protect myself from climate change? So the question of adaptation, not just mitigation. And that presents a lot of challenges because a lot of our insurance products today is really around nat cats, and climate change presents a lot more perils than just storms, right? You have extreme temperature, et cetera, et cetera. So those are very, very challenging for a lot of our real economy clients.
Okay. How about, do you have any particular existing initiatives or projects that are particularly exciting?
Yeah, we have lots of exciting projects. We're working with a lot of infrastructure builders. We're working with energy companies on their net zero journey. As you know, like energy transition, from a mitigation perspective, energy companies are at the forefront of doing what they think they need to do for the earth. So we're actually working with a lot of energy companies to look at their net zero and decarbonization journey, and how do we basically get from the traditional energy sources into the renewable. And that's not easy, but we're partnering very, very closely with those companies, because you need risk financing as well as bank financing to make that happen, right? So that's one of them. But we're also working with infrastructure, as I mentioned. We're working with automakers to look at their supply chain, to make sure that the supply chain is also climate ready and sustainable, and not just the operations themselves, right? I just give you two examples.
Thank you. I think that's really interesting, and definitely like where we are moving towards in the future. Mm-hmm. How about, are there some metrics or indicators that you use to measure these impacts and like the progress of your climate and sustainability strategies?
Yeah, I mean, from a Marsh McLennan perspective, we're looking at just the number of projects we have. But more importantly, we actually help our clients measure, how are they going? How are they doing with respect to their net zero strategy, looking at the percentage of the energy mix, looking at their progress of their decarbonization, but more importantly, looking at their assets and how their assets can withstand, the effect of climate change. And overall, we also have a framework to help companies measure their overall sustainability, which includes environment, social causes, and governance. So we actually devised a tool called the ESG risk rating tool, whereby we help companies to measure and score themselves, and it's a private measure, so they can score themselves against all the standards around the world.
Okay, that's definitely useful. Yeah. In your opinion, what are like the most critical steps that businesses and governments in Asia should take to accelerate the progress towards like a more sustainable future?
I think step number one, you need to assess yourself, right? So I think there's many, many standards out there. Understand what are the components, what are the issues around climate sustainability that are most important to you, and then just run an assessment to say, how am I doing? Where on the journey of maturity am I? And that opens a lot of doors, and that actually is a good starting point to say, well, what are the gaps that I have and what do I need to do in the future?
Okay. Let me just wrap up this interview and ask you, like, what are your takes on the industry so far this year, and like, what are your outlooks and like your predictions for next year?
I think the insurance industry in general, it's a very knee-jerk year, right? Because I think we're bounding back from COVID-19 losses, right? A lot of insurance companies lost a lot of money in that period. And also last couple of years, we've had some really big natural catastrophes happening around the world. So they're kind of bouncing back from that. Going forward, I think we need to get back to the business of building new products, right? I think the insurance by nature is looking at historical data, but I think the risks are changing. So insurance industry needs to look at the future risks and how to protect the real economy from future risks.
Okay, that's a great way to sum up the interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vivian.
Thank you. It's great to have you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.